Imagine this for a moment. Something is moving through our solar system at nearly 124,000 miles per hour. Now ask yourself, what if it's not just a random piece of rock drifting in space? What if it's something far more disturbing? What if it's a nuclear-powered spacecraft from another world? I've spent my life studying things that seem impossible. And I can tell you this. When you're dealing with an object so massive it compares to the sun itself, moving faster than a bullet, you start to understand that what we're witnessing isn't ordinary. This is something that doesn't fit into what we thought we knew. It shot past Mars at a speed beyond imagination. But the real mystery began when this interstellar visitor, 3I Atlas, made its closest approach to Earth. Right at that exact moment, NASA's data feed suddenly went offline, completely silent. The official explanation? Government shutdown, bureaucratic delay. But when you spend decades studying the universe, you develop a sense for patterns. And the timing was far too perfect to be a coincidence. Scientists across the world, observatories in Europe, research centers in Japan, were all waiting for one crucial moment. They needed high-resolution images, spectral data, telemetry reports. The kind of information that could finally tell us what this object really is, what it's made of, how it behaves. Instead, they got nothing. Locked data, error screens, missing files. The blackout closed off the exact moment that mattered most. And the little data we collected before and after that silence makes everything even stranger. The object is long and stretched, almost identical to the infamous cigar-shaped Oumuamua. But unlike a comet that size, it doesn't have a glowing tail. There's no bright trail of gas like we would normally see. Instead, it's surrounded by a faint, eerie cloud of ionized gas, something that doesn't match any known model. It doesn't behave like dust or vapor or comet exhaust. It's something else entirely. When I look at the data, I can't help but ask myself, could this be some kind of shielding, a protective layer, a design? And then there's its path. It's traveling within just 5 degrees of Earth's orbital plane. That's not random. That's precise. The more closely we look, the harder it becomes to pretend this is just another harmless visitor from deep space. In celestial mechanics, we learn that most interstellar objects enter our solar system from completely random directions, usually dropping in from far above or below the orbital plane where the planets move. But this object isn't doing that. Its alignment is almost too precise. What fascinates me most is that 3I Atlas is traveling directly along the ecliptic plane, the same thin, flat cosmic highway, where every major planet orbits the sun. Think about that. The odds of an interstellar object just randomly lining up perfectly with our planetary path are incredibly low, almost impossibly low. As Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb pointed out, the trajectory isn't just unusual, it's suspiciously exact. This object didn't just pass Mars by coincidence. Its path is calculated to take it extremely close to Jupiter as well. So we have something arriving from another star system, and somehow its course places it near multiple major planets in a very short span of time. When I run the math, when I calculate the probability of this alignment, this timing, and these planetary encounters happening naturally, the numbers are astonishing. The odds are less than 1 in a million. In all my years studying cosmic movement, I can confidently say this is not acting like a random visitor drifting through space. So now we're forced to confront a difficult question. Are we looking at a rare natural phenomenon, or something engineered, something intelligent, something built? And here's what keeps me up at night. The data blackout during the Mars encounter prevented us from capturing the exact information we needed to answer that question. The mass of this object alone could explain the secrecy. Our understanding of the universe is based on predictable physical behavior. Comets behave a certain way. Asteroids follow known patterns. But 3I Atlas does not follow the rules. It breaks them. Scientists around the world have documented multiple anomalies surrounding this object, enough to move it beyond curiosity and into something that demands serious attention. Unlike Oumuamua, which was elongated and unusual but still manageable within our models, or Comet Borisov, which behaved almost exactly as we expected, this object fits no category. It stands alone. Let's begin with the first major anomaly, its mass. We are looking at something weighing tens of trillions of pounds. To compare, It's millions of times more massive than the most powerful spacecraft ever built by humans. And here's the part that defies logic. We can clearly see it releasing gas and dust into space, which should act like small thrusters pushing it off course. But its trajectory doesn't change. Not even slightly. In every model we have, when a comet vents gas, it shifts like a balloon losing air. It wobbles. It drifts. But 3i Atlas moves forward as if guided. Steady, intentional, controlled. The reason is simple and terrifying. Its mass is so enormous that even powerful gas jets barely influence it. And when we calculate how much raw material exists in interstellar space, there simply isn't enough available to naturally form something this massive. That leads us to the second anomaly, the lack of smaller fragments. If nature were capable of creating interstellar bodies of this size, we would see countless smaller pieces of the same material across the cosmos. But we don't. Not a single one. This object exists alone. If nature were truly capable of forming something this massive, we should have seen many smaller versions drifting through space long before now. But we haven't. Not even one. It's like walking into an empty field and finding a giant boulder sitting alone. No pebbles, no stones, no debris, nothing to suggest where it came from. That pattern tells us this object didn't form through any natural process we understand. The next anomaly is its chemical makeup. Scientists did identify cyanide and carbon monoxide, which are common in comets, but the surrounding dust cloud contains unusually complex silicate minerals, materials that only form in warm, rocky environments like the surface of a planet. These minerals do not develop in the frozen darkness between stars. It's as if a massive piece of a rocky world was violently ripped away and sent across space. Then there's its resilience. On September 25th, a powerful solar storm burst from the sun and slammed directly into the object. A normal comet would have fractured or erupted under that kind of force. We expected fragmentation, maybe a complete breakup. But none of that happened. Instead, its outer layer expanded slowly and smoothly, almost as if controlled. It behaved like something made of material far stronger than ice and dust. Another anomaly lies in how the light reflects from the particles surrounding it. Every comet we've ever studied reflects sunlight in a consistent, predictable way. But this object does the opposite. It displays strong negative polarization, meaning the particles around it are made of something fundamentally different. Their internal structure is unlike anything we know from our own solar system. Then we return to its mathematically perfect trajectory. The chance of it aligning with the orbital plane of our planets is already incredibly small. When you also consider its time encounters with Mars and Jupiter, the probability drops to nearly zero. Yet the path it follows is exactly the kind an interplanetary probe would use to efficiently study multiple planets. It's the same type of trajectory human engineers design intentionally. Finally, its shape. It's long, narrow, stretched, much like Oumuamua before it. But this is not a shape gravity naturally produces. Natural objects under rotation collapse into spheres or slightly flattened forms. A long, thin shape is unstable in nature, unless it's designed. And for high-speed travel through interstellar space, a narrow, elongated structure is ideal. It reduces the chance of catastrophic collisions with dust and particles. Any one of these anomalies alone would be fascinating. But taken together, they form a pattern that is impossible to ignore. Those insisting this is simply a comet have a great deal to explain. And there's a theory gaining traction now, one that is difficult to accept but harder to dismiss. What if this isn't a comet? What if it isn't even a natural object at all? What if it's cargo? Think of it this way. The best way to hide a single tree is to place it inside a forest. So if you wanted to send a probe into a solar system full of telescopes and scientists, how would you conceal it? You make it look like a comet. Not perfectly, just enough to pass at a glance. This idea is now known as the Trojan horse hypothesis. And as each anomaly is analyzed, that hypothesis is no longer fringe. It is gaining legitimate scientific attention. The most effective disguise would be an object that appears natural on the surface, but different enough that close scientific examination would eventually expose its artificial origin. It's a smart design, one that could move carefully across the galaxy for ages, passing through different star systems without drawing attention at first glance. Think about that for a moment. If an advanced civilization wanted to explore the galaxy efficiently, sending countless small autonomous probes would be the most logical strategy. These probes could travel silently through interstellar space, gathering information for thousands of years. Every time they entered a new system, they could observe planets, record atmospheric and geological data, and maybe even send this information back to wherever they came from, no matter how far away. Over the years, I've thought a lot about how interstellar exploration would work, and that 5-degree alignment with our solar system's orbital plane doesn't feel accidental. It looks like a calculated choice, one that allows the object to pass near several planets in one single journey. That's exactly the kind of fuel-efficient path human engineers already designed when sending our own spacecraft to explore multiple worlds. Then, there's its durability. When that massive solar storm struck it, we expected fragmentation, maybe even total collapse, but instead it stayed stable. That's what we expected. The structure was made from extremely advanced materials, far beyond anything we can currently create. And that strange light polarization behavior? It contradicts everything we know about natural comets. But if the surface is made from engineered compounds, that unusual reflection pattern becomes a natural consequence. It's like a subtle fingerprint, a sign of artificial construction. The weight of what we might be seeing here is difficult to fully process, because if this is artificial, then we have absolutely no understanding of its purpose. After a lifetime studying the universe, I'm left asking the same unsettling questions everyone else is afraid to say out loud. Are we watching a harmless observer quietly studying our solar system? Or is there something more deliberate happening here? And that staggering 73 trillion pound mass is impossible to ignore. Something that heavy does not exist without intention. It could be hiding internal systems, maybe even multiple smaller craft designed to deploy when needed. Or it could contain a long-duration power source built to function across millions of years. This is not scrap or debris. This is engineered on a level that surpasses anything humanity has ever attempted. Yet there's another theory emerging, one that shifts us into an entirely different conversation. Dr. Suzanne Fegner in Germany has been running advanced computer simulations, and her results are astonishing. She suggests that these massive interstellar objects might actually help trigger the formation of planets in young star systems. According to her data, when a developing solar system captures one of these large wanderers, it can speed up the process of planet formation dramatically. Instead of dust slowly gathering over millions of years, entire worlds could form around these large cores far more quickly. If her calculations are correct, this challenges some of the most fundamental assumptions we have about how planets are born. The giant planets in our own system, Jupiter included, and even the ground beneath us may contain material that didn't originate here. Those elements might have been carried in by ancient interstellar visitors that entered our young solar system long before Earth was fully formed. Seen from that perspective, 3I Atlas might not be a threat at all. It could be something much deeper, a kind of architect, a building block that helps shape planets. But there's a question I can't shake. What if this object is preparing to influence something new in our cosmic neighborhood? There's a detail here that matters. As 3I Atlas moves through space, its speed isn't constant. It's rising. Right now, it's traveling at about 82,000 miles per hour. But as the sun's gravity pulls on it, the speed will climb closer to 100,000 miles per hour. When you combine that velocity with its enormous mass, the amount of stored energy becomes almost beyond imagination. If it were to collide with anything large, the destruction would be on a scale we can barely comprehend. Official predictions don't suggest that impact is likely, but comets are unpredictable. They break apart. They release sudden bursts of gas that alter their path. With something this large, any small change could shift everything. No one can say with absolute certainty where it will be in the long term. Our best chance for reliable data now rests with the European Space Agency. While NASA's data stream mysteriously went offline, ESA's Mars Express and Trace Gas Orbiter continued observing. And most importantly, the JUICE mission, designed for Jupiter exploration, is expected to pass near 3I Atlas in November 2025. There will be a delay before the information reaches Earth, But those readings may confirm whether the object has unusual surface behavior, unexpected heat patterns, or internal structure that nature alone couldn't produce. What unsettles me isn't any one theory. It's how every new piece of evidence slowly pushes us away from natural explanations and toward possibilities that challenge everything we thought we understood. Our window to study this is closing faster than most people realize. Here's the reality. We are running out of time. 3I Atlas isn't waiting for us. It isn't slowing down. It is following a path that will soon take it far beyond the reach of any instrument humanity has. On December 19th, 2025, it will make its closest pass to Earth, about 167 million miles away. That may sound distant, but in the scale of the universe, this is our last clear view before it disappears back into deep space. We have only weeks to gather what answers we can. After that, this may become just another unanswered mystery drifting between the stars. Observatories around the world are in a race, collecting every measurement possible before our chance is gone. But there's another concern. What if the most important data has already been recorded and is simply not being released? That unexplained blackout during the Mars encounter still casts a long shadow. This one object has forced scientists to consider ideas that were once treated like fiction. The number of unusual features has reached a point where even the most skeptical researchers are beginning to ask difficult questions about our place in the universe. In science, we use the term black swan event for something so unexpected that it forces us to rethink our basic assumptions. 3I Atlas is that kind of event. Whether it's natural or artificial, it is already proven that interstellar visitors can be far larger and far stranger than we ever believed possible. So now the question comes to you. Is 3I Atlas a rare natural wonder, something we're lucky to witness? Or is it evidence that intelligent beings beyond Earth are observing us? If you believe people deserve to know the truth, whatever that truth turns out to be, share your voice, spread the information, and stay with us as this story continues.